Hello everyone. In this video, I want to go over how to create your Premier team and how to improve that team and get better and eventually, like we did, win the Premier playoffs. So I want to share my experiences. I also coach a couple teams on advanced level. I will also share the experience of what they're going through, so you can kind of find your way easier in this mess. So first, of course, you need players. If you don't have a premier team, if you're looking for team or you're looking for players. In this video, I will cover that if you have a team already, because if you looking for a team is totally different because you're gonna have to adapt a different structure or however that team plays. So I'm gonna go over that how to build your play style in a premier team and where to look for players, where to get experience and how to make playbooks, etc. So let's start going. Let's go over first if you need a player. There's a website called gangster.gg and you go there, you can select Valorant and you can go to teams if you're looking for a team, if you're looking for a player. If you're looking for a player, you can post your ad basically here, that what you're looking for, which level you're playing. For example, this team playing gold, plat, diamond, ascendant, bronze. So every level is there. You can find your same skill set as you. So if you're looking for a player, the make sure what we look out of players over the year, that I will, when you write your ad, make sure you add like what's your team culture, what's your play style is the this is the for example, in this team I will, let's say, requirement has a good schedule, smokes have a good game sense. For example, what is a good game sense? What do you mean by that? So for example, if you're looking for flex or smokes, give more definition to the roles, such as we're looking for anchor, we're looking for lurker. So these kind of things be better to communicate your ad to the potential people applying your team, and you'll less time to go through the tryouts. After you make your team, you have your players. Now it's the roles. Who's playing controller, who's playing sentinel, who's playing initiator. And if you're IGLing, you rather be on initiator roles at the beginning of your team building up your play style, because initiator basically a playmaker and you will have more control over the what's happening in the map. For example, if you're playing split, you rather be on sky because you can communicate your flashes and what you want to do, or follow my dog, I'm gonna flash out of smoke for you, things like that. You can make things on fly as IGL. And if you as IGL at the beginning of your team, I don't recommend you to play lurker or anchor, because your vision will be just one side of the map and you won't able to understand the patterns of opposite team, what they're doing, and abuse the patterns. So basically, if you're IGL, you want to be around your teammates and play with them to get more experience quickly and make better decisions. And other than that, put your put your players in their best agents. Don't care about that meta that much, because meta, the when you play meta, you understand why this is meta. You have to answer those deep questions about the game. Why Viper is good? Why Race is good in this map? So things like that. When you begin that understanding, yes, you can play meta. But if you're a duelist player, cannot play Raze, don't put them on the Raze, because you won't get any value from that player, and you rather have them whatever they want to play. Basically, if they're good at Jet, let them on Jet. Put them on Jet and trying to find a value around their play style and how they approach to the game. Beginning of your team, you should focus on the communication and the communication and fundamentals, because the playing meta comp won't win you the games. Clear communication and good fundamentals will win you the game. At this level, if you're not plus contender and invite level, I'm not talking to you folks. That yes, you need to play meta and understand the meta and learn everything about the meta, things like that. But if you're advanced, elite, lower, that the meta won't win you the games, meta picks. So basically, put people on their preferred roles and find solutions how you can make the value of Jet. You can watch old split, was Raze was not played, the Jet was the dominant. Yes, it was very overpowered, but still you can what get some ideas and uh, influence from those votes. Another example of playing meta will make you lose games actually more than win games. In Ascent comp that we scrim a lot Ascent these days, and this player, KO player, is pretty important role in this comp. Your KO player needs to be very good at KO, and good at KO requires like mechanically good. You need lineups, you need game sense, you need to understand when to clear, basically you need to be a playmaker. And if you don't have a good KO player, this comp kind of crumbles, and you don't need to actually play it. So if you issue with the KO, you can begin like try while your players learn their agents. You can put them on the better agents. They can play more easy. For example, you can swap with Phoenix KO. If you want to fight A main or B main, for example. So things like that, you rather have your players on their best positions and more comfort picks than meta while you're trying to build up your team, while trying to people add more agents into the portfolios basically. Okay, now our team is ready. We have our roles. We mesh well, we communicate well. You need a playbook. What is a playbook? Playbook is a strategy, basically a strategy handbook for you to call so everyone knows what you want to do in this round. For example, I will give an example of that C9 Abyss defense. So what we look at when the Abyss release, C9 played it, and how do they played it, we try to copy that. So basically, when we call strong A, this is our setup. So Sova watches mid, Omen watches B, basically strong side A. Because we expect them to hit A, stuff like that. So when we call this, everyone goes to position beginning of the round immediately and sets up. One thing you don't want to do is the beginning of the round, pre-round phase. It's not like, oh, let's maybe take mid, maybe push this. What do you guys think? No, you have to be assertive on those rounds. And if someone calls around, any member of your call can say, for example, in our team, I'm the IGL, I play Sova, but our Killjoy players say that, guys, I think it's an A hit, let's strong A. You trust the call. Then after that, you go to WOD reviews and look at maybe that was a bad call and why was it bad call. But don't, during the round, pre-round, definitely just listen one voice and try to be on same page as possible. And in order to create playbooks, you can watch WODs, or you can, if you don't have time for that, I recommend Coach Potatoes is the Fnatic Old Coach Mini and Liquid Old Coach Sliggy. They create those playbooks. It's a 10 months, $10 a month, and there's so much comms here, and it explains basically each round what you want to do. There's set rounds and trap plays. It makes if you don't have a playbook, you can start with that. I think they have free one on Split. So yeah, free, you can check it out how it is. So it can save you time and at least gives you a beginning of the how you should play. Okay, after you have your playbook and everything, that now I can't emphasize enough, you need to do dry run. What is a dry run? Dry run is that 5 players come to server, empty server, no opponents. You just go through the playbook and everyone also get a visual memory and also the timings are like. Let's say we default A take on Ascent, KO knife close, there's a enemy will probably put one way and you flash through the one way. Okay, now we have A main. Now we're getting close. We have one flash, one molly left in KO and we are 2 smokes up. So we're gonna hit the side. So smokes up, KO molly lands here, then the dart comes in, and the thing is about it's a very basic dart, that you need to time those things. When dart about to land, your jet has to dash. For example, we call cable or gen. So let's say she dashed jet, jet dashes cable, and at this moment that dart should land and flash should pop, because the jet dashing here pulls the crosshair of enemies and get attention. If they look jet, they're gonna get blinded. If they don't look jet, they have to kill the dart and jet can get a timing. So basically you need to combine this utility, find the timings, and basically every dart needs a flash, things like that. Then you start building your timings, and executes will be so much better on site, for example. Another important thing is that if you don't have an IGL, or if you're doing like hive mind stuff, that make sure you have 4 rounds set up for each half. For example, for pistol for defense, anti-eco, bonus, and one, for example, one very aggressive, the on defense. On attack, pistol, anti-eco, bonus, and exec. Maybe you can add one more exec. For example, this is C9 Abyss we practiced. So this is default. This is our low eco 4-man push. This is our main setup, other default. This is, for example, very aggressive, that we flash the jet dashes and we try to punish the mid player. So when we have an op, we do that. Like, thing is that if you do those set rounds at least 4 at each side, you most likely you're gonna win your games more often, because everyone will be on the same page 8 of the most of the 24 rounds. And if you get economical advantage, your mechanics can carry. But if you at least have 4 rounds for defense and attack set for your team. After you got your players, you got your roles, you got your comfort picks, you got your playbook, you dry run, now is the time for scrim. And I can't empathize enough that do not go to scrim without dry running, because during the scrim, if you try to basically, you cannot do 2 things at once. And the scrim, you cannot just everyone try to remember the strats and go into the game. Oh, let's do vision strikers on ascent. So it was like, what is vision strikers? Then you have to keep explaining, and people who know try to explain and try to be on the same page. If you're not on the same page, scrim, you're basically wasting your time. So make sure you do your dry runs, and in scrim, that first of all, how you find a scrim? Okay, you go to, again, gangster.gg, that you click scrim, and you can choose your rank, which rank you want to play. There's 3 types of scrim that I identified, and when I'm coaching the team, also in my team, that we go through the punching down. Basically, for example, our team is Immortal 1 and Immortal 2. So if you play against Ascendant Diamond teams, we kind of punching down, because we're mechanically better, then our mechanics can carry the game. So certain, basically a couple rounds we can get away with, basically get out of jail free card, because our mechanics are better. And there's an equal level that basically is a sparring, I call. If you for example, in our case, if you scrim Immortal teams, we are sparring, we are testing ourselves. And there's a punching up. For example, if you go Immortal 3 and Radiant teams, if you punch up, you're gonna get, most likely we did get destroyed, but you learn a lot. What I recommend is that when you first dry run, you wanna do punching down. Find a team that almost equal or lower mechanical skill than you, because you need some reps in those playbooks. You need some reps until you start sparring with the equal level. So you can actually, because when you start sparring with the equal level teams, you want to focus on, okay, how did we mess this up? Not the call, not the execution of the call, but minutings. The minutings will appear. For example, the timing of the dart and flash, timing of peak, double hold, things like that. So you want to get that feedback. But when you're punching down, you want to get feedback of that. Oh, we couldn't time our vision strikers. With our macro, everyone forget the macro. Basically, when you're punching down, you try to focus on macro, not micro. And when you get your macro level done, you can focus on micro with the sparring. And after you basically master all of these, your game idea of the map and how you play, and how you play micro scenarios like trap plays or double pushes when clearing areas, that then you can start punching up. When you're punching up, this is your like limit test, your ceiling test, how much rounds you can win. Basically, we do sometimes, when we're very comfortable with the map, we try to find Radiant scrims, and when we go in there, we go with like, okay, how many rounds we can win. We lock in everyone, because we practice this map a lot, and this is basically a test for you And also when you play a good teams, that you learn a lot of tech from them. For example, we switched to Cypher Deadlock on Ascent because there was a Cypher player we played. It was amazing. He destroyed us single-handedly. How we replayed the map, and I was like, we look at that VOD and we steal everything from that guy and implement our gameplay. So basically, you see more tech, you see more macros, you see more ideas, and it basically is a first rule of the chess that you only get better by playing a smarter opponent. Other thing about scrims, that do not play scrims to win of all costs. What I mean by that, of course, play for win, but what you want to practice, because you can't practice everything. The After your playbook is done and you do your dry runs, you do your like getting familiar with the comp, getting familiar with the agents, scrims, and after that you get familiarity what you want to practice. For example, if you want to practice your defense default, for example, let's say this is your default 113 with the killjoy turret punish, let's say the of the killjoy turret KO flashes and jet peaks, let's say this is a very basic B main punish. So if you practice that, just run it all the defense off. And because you want to get master of this default, and also when enemy recognize that, they will just go A, find man A. So for example, now actually this default will turn into a retake. So now you're gonna actually see that, okay, when we start with default, if they hit A, that if scenario will be created in your team. If they hit A, we retake by this. We, for example, or two people go flank, two people go cat, and we and Omen will hold this space. They don't let them come in. So for example, then you start building up your fundamentals and your macro game too. So basically when you go to scrim, making what you want to practice, make sure that you communicate with your team. Okay, team, let's play default on attack and defense each round. Doesn't matter. We don't then, or if you want to practice execute, just execute every round. For example, we're just gonna practice executes. Execute B, execute A. Pick your side and execute, and you will see. Or you can just hit B every round, and when enemies start stacking, still hit them, because now you say, okay, if it's a stack, you will get a reps to play if there's so much stack, what you're gonna do, or you will see the notification of this. Okay, this is a stack. Let's get out, because you will recognize the patterns of enemies. So when you go to scrim, just have a plan in mind and what you want to practice. That don't just go into win the scrim, because you can't focus on two things. If you want to focus on your playbook, just focus on your playbook. And if you're done with your playbook, because in the scrims you also need to adapt to an enemy team, that while you're trying to practice your playbook, you can't adapt. It's so much mentally overloaded your team, and you rather keep it simple at the beginning until you build your fundamentals of the map and agents you play and the play style you have. Other thing is about scrims, get used to losing. When I mean by that, when I say get used to losing, the basic, do not over exaggerate the feelings of losing a scrim. It's just a scrim. That's why you're scrimming, to get better. You're gonna lose. And if you win, don't take too much pride of it too. Because it's just scrim. The enemy team, maybe the first time they're playing that map, you don't know. Even though let's say you are gold team and playing as plat team. Let's say they play pearl first time, just come to the map pool, and they have no idea what they're doing, and you have some idea, you will beat them at the end. So don't take too much pride of like, oh, we beat plat team, we are better. No, you're not. So don't over exaggerate the lose, don't over exaggerate the win. Just practice what you want to practice. And also other thing about that, scrims usually, when which teams reach the 13 round basically win the game. If you're playing play all round, I recommend you to play all rounds, because you want to get 12 attack rounds, 12 defense rounds, so you can run through all your playbook and get familiar with it. So do not play that end of 13 unless you're practicing for, okay, we nailed down everything, we got our playbook, we got our play style, let's try to, we call that performance scrim. Okay, let's look at the performance end of 13, the coin flip to start picking starting side, whatever, that now you can play. But if you when you're practicing, you want to have 12 attack rounds, 12 defense rounds, and do not get invested in losing or winning during those scrims because you're just practicing it. A lot of teams doing that, and you shouldn't do it. When you reach 13, people relax or people start running down, like taking random fights by themselves because they think they win the game. You're basically wasting your time and disrespecting the enemy because maybe they're trying to run their default, they try to run executes like the basically there's a saying that goes to my basketball coaches also said that you play what you practice. So if you practice after 13 running it down, you're missing the chance to getting to trap plays, your defaults, your other set plays. You're basically wasting your time the remaining of the rounds in that case. So try not to do that. If you're gonna do that, do it with the plan. For example, of course you can push B main, A main, but at least do not try to do like flash. Try to do some plays with the utility, combine with the utility, so at least you have a better chance to win the fight rather than coin flipping your round with the taken 50-50 fight, for example. So do not relax after 13 or still keep because you're practicing, and if you play half you practice. When you go to Premier, you will play everything you did in the scrim. If you run it down on scrim, after 13 or after a couple losing rounds you get tilted, you will run down on your Premier games too, or whatever important game you play. One last thing about your team: do not give up immediately. So don't let couple loses to discourage you and try to find new players, or if you're a player joining a team, leave the team. This things takes time. You won't get over a night or a day and maybe a couple weeks. That as long as you're getting 1% better every day with your team, it's a progress. And over a couple months, for example, if you get 1% better every day, over 3 months you will get almost double the better, almost the twice the better as a team. So basically you have to give time to people to understand, because everyone when you join the first team or create your team, everyone trying to understand what to do. If they're just ranked player, they need to understand how to play scrims, how to play the Premier, things like that. Give them a time and believe on your teammates to make that progress. So do not, for example, for us, we struggle in Elite 3 for a long time, as you can see, and finally we win the Premier playoffs in here, so we become Elite 4. But it took us almost a year to build each map, understanding of each map, which agents we want to play as an individual too. That I was only KO player, now I'm playing Sova mainly. I can still play KO, but you add to your as a own player to your add agents, add tech, and you watch the games differently. When I say watch the games differently, next very important thing is that WOD review. Other thing that I can't emphasize enough is the WOD review. You need to record your scrims or matches, premieres, whatever, that you need to record them to go over after with your team, to what did you do wrong, what you can get better. For example, in our team, I record everything. For example, this is Tuesday scrim, which is yesterday. That what we do in this game, what happened, then how we can prevent the mistakes we did during this game. So, for example, if you have a mistake during the round, for example, your teammates made a mistake and you see it, you rather not tell that during the scrim, or like, oh, you should have darted, you should have peeked, you should have waited for me. Keep that to the WOD review, because during the game, especially in pure round, your teammate, for example, IGL said that, oh, let's play strong A, let's say example. They're trying to do their setup. They try to understand the enemy patterns, and they try to, okay, they thinking that how they should play the round. And also, if you give them feedback about like, oh, you should do that in here, you should do that in there, that it will mentally overload, and in the game, the adrenaline and everything can be spiked, and your teammates can also take you in the wrong, that try to just flaming them, but actually you're just criticizing them, for example. Try to save them to the WOD review, because everyone will be relaxed, everyone will be remember the rounds, and also you do ward review immediately right after scrims. Take like a 10-minute break, everyone calm down, and ward review, or next day do the ward review. For example, in this one I shouldn't have picked that, for example, but I don't say, like, I have a I keep a notebook with myself, so I write the rounds, what happened, and how you should play it. So I don't bring it out during the pre-rounds or during the scrim. I bring them out with my notes next day or the right after the scrims, that yeah, in this round we made this mistake, or I made this mistake, or you made this mistake, and people will be more receptive to your feedback and how you want to play the game. So keep those constructive criticisms to the ward reviews rather than during the game, because you don't want to, during the game, you don't want to argue, you don't want to debate, everyone wants to be on a simple same page and do things together. Also, as a player, like, yes, you as a team has your own goal, what you want to practice during the scrim. Also, as a player, you need to have a goal for yourself, what you want to do this scrim. For example, in this scrim, my goal was I will only play A when I have my ult, and the other rounds I'm just gonna push B. That was my goal during the game, during the scrim, and because in our past we recognize that our B main hold is with this comp is kind of a little iffy, because either we're fighting A, either fighting B, that one of them is lacking. So I feel like, okay, how can I fill that gap as a solo? How can I get better at that fight, picking B main angle, for example? Which timings I have. So I want to practice that as a player too, but it's important that you communicate that with your team too, what you want to do. For example, I ask out of Cyphercam on B right here to help me to push out and get that info, what's happening. And also I try to recognize the enemy patterns when they're defaulting. So also as a player, you need to have a goal. For example, in the scrim, you should say that, oh, I will play with my utility more, I will play with my teammate more, so I will set myself up. If you are duelist main, for example, our duelist, his goal was oh, can you dart for me, can you drum for me this scrim? So he always be vocal about that. So also as a player, have a goal in mind before you go into scrim, what you want to do and how what you're lacking, and you have to recognize that, and ward reviews will help that a lot. So in this video, I want to cover some pitfalls and also some suggestions to how to build your team and how to get better as a team, to give you a little bit more in depth, and also some experiences that I have as a coach and as a player in this team, that hopefully it was helpful. And please, if you like this video, like and subscribe. It helps me a lot, and I appreciate you, the people who sticking with me. And if you need a coaching help for your team, if you need a coach and need to help fix your problems, that you can always contact me on Discord, and we can set up a time and we can go over and try to help you as much as I can. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful day.